How would you feel if you could transform your entire team into a championship team? What does that mean? What does that look like for you as a business owner? Well, that's exactly what we're going to cover in today's material. So a quick reference here, if you're new to all of this, my name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the CEO of ActionCOACH Benefic Group. ActionCOACH is the world's #1 business coaching company. We have 1,200 plus offices all across the world in over 85 countries. It was started and founded by a gentleman named Brad Sugars, an Australian native that has moved the business to the United States and has been doing this for, I think it's right around 33 years or so at time of this recording. And this all started with a vision: world abundance through business re-education, the ability to not just teach the things that have always been taught, but thinking about them in different frames. So if you're sitting and you've landed on this video and you're watching this content today, perhaps you would have a team today. Perhaps you've been building a business for years. There may be things that we're going to cover that are not going to be new to you. They're going to be things you might have heard before, but the reality is, ideally, more than likely, you're different. You've experienced different things from the last time that you've heard it. You've gone through different iterations of things. And that is the foundation of business re-education versus just business education. So as I said, my name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the CEO here at ActionCOACH Benefic Group, serving the Central Texas market in Austin, Round Rock, Cedar Park, Leander, Georgetown, as well as in South Miami, Coral Gables, in that part of the region. I'm a former loan officer and mortgage banker. I was a VP over at Bank of America up until 2020. And I've got over 8 years of experience in real estate, business and economic development, finance, operations, marketing management. These are all the things that I just absolutely love. And fun fact, I have my bachelor's in psychology. Always fun to kind of see how those career paths turn out over the years. But what's really fun, what's probably the most important piece on this slide, is to recognize that in just the first 3 years of being a part of this business, we grew the business 562% in revenue and 866% in net income. And it's all based on using the things that I'm going to share with you in this video today. So it's not just stuff that we talk about, we teach and all of that sort of thing, but it's stuff that we've implemented and used directly within our own business and have seen the results. So I want you to meet the ActionCOACH Benefic Group team. It's not just one individual coach. It's not just me. I'm here sharing this information with you today, but I could not do it without the support of this amazing team around me. You know, coaching is a team sport. It's not a solo act. As you think about using coaching, as you think about how ActionCOACH could potentially fit into your world, we're supporting you by a full firm with decades of combined experience. Our team alliance includes coaches from Coach Mark, Sandy, Liz, Doug, along with your local ActionCOACH Benefic Group team here in Central Texas, Andy, Jody, Taylor, William. We ensure that every client gets to the right program, the right coach, the right tools. It's one team, one system, all personalized for your business. And I'd like to just give them a shout out here on the screen. These are the individuals that make this possible, that make all of these things go round. I just get to sit back and kind of work through a couple items, teach you a few things here on the screen, but it's really these individuals that the results for all of our clients as we progress forward. As said before, we are part of the #1 business coaching organization in the world, and the clients benefit from these best practices, from these proven systems, from these things that I'm going to teach you and share with you today. I think it's important to share that context with you simply because there's a lot of information out there in the world today. If I can share with you the things that have been tried and true, not just in our business, not just with our clients, but all across the world, in different countries, and it continues to be the same principles that works, that's what I want to share with you today. So here's going to be one of my kind of key rules. The only real failure in life, in learning, is the failure to participate. When you give 100%, you're going to get 100% in return. So as you go through this video, as you learn this stuff, as you think about the things that are resonating with you, I want to write them down. When I ask and pose some questions to you as the viewer here, I want you to write down those questions. I want you to write down your answers to it. The more you take that action, the more you're going to gain from this material. Save this video, come back, rewatch it, share it with your team. All of this is form of participation, active learning, and you're going to get more results. And of course, as we go through this, I have another kind of really big rule when it comes to teaching anything. And that's that you got to be willing to have some fun, right? This has got to be something that's exciting. And you chose to stop on this video. You chose to watch this entire thing. You chose to ideally probably have gone into business for yourself. There is something that can be so much fun about this process of building. So I'm going to encourage you to have some fun as we go through the material here today. So let's talk about the most common 3 frustrations in business. So when I talk to business owners all across the region here in Texas, across the southern Florida, South Miami region, and many other coaches and their clients throughout the world, it almost always comes down to business owners having 1 or 2 of the 3 most common frustrations. Number 1 is going to be the lack of money, right? So this is the business not generating the revenue, the profits that the owner desires, right? Or potentially even believes is possible from the business. So there's a money issue here. Or it's number 2, time. Think about it. The owner that works too many hours. Maybe this is you. You work too many hours in the business, therefore missing out on time with family, with friends. Heck, developing those interests outside of business, right? Maybe there's some time management issues. I don't know about you, but it can be very, very easy just to spend the time focused on building the business that I forget that, oh man, 10 years ago I had some hobbies and I haven't used them in a long time or haven't done them as much as I've wanted to. Time continues to be kind of the factor here. Or number 3, we've got team challenges. And team challenges can come up in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. But on the truest level, the team doesn't perform at the level that the business owner desires, or the business has some problems recruiting and retaining the right people into the organization. So if you're still tracking along here today, I'd encourage you to do one exercise before you move any further down this video. I want you to pause this. I want you to take a look at these 3, and I want you to rank them in order. The number 1 most biggest frustration for you being number 1, and then number 2 and number 3. So if that for you is time, I want you to put time as number 1. If that for you is team, I want you to put team as number 1. Put some focus on what that top most biggest frustration is for you in your business today. Now that may have been different than it was 6 months ago, and it may be different than it will be 6 months from today. But as you sit here watching this today, which one of these resonates with you the most? What is the number 1 on that list? For the remainder of today, we're going to be spending most of our time talking about the team challenges and how do we continue to elevate the team that we surround ourselves with. As you have your pen and paper out and you're taking some notes, I want you to take a minute and I want you to be as specific as you can. What do you want to gain from watching the rest of this video today? What is most important to you? I want you to write one thing down. What's one thing that you want to gain? The reason we do this is intentionality allows you to find the things that you actually need and want to achieve. So be specific. Take a minute and write that down. So let's take you back. I think it's important to understand a little bit of context as we go through here. So this is a story of our business, and it's been about 4.5, almost pushing 5 years ago now, at time of this recording. But we were on the up and up. Came into the business, started to grow it. You saw the slides at the very beginning where we grew business, grew the revenue, grew the profitability. Things are going, right? And we went on this journey. We hired team members. We started to move up this process of the 6 steps to build a business, which I'll share with you here in a few minutes. And during this journey, we got carried away. We got really excited thinking, hey, we know what we're doing, right? We're the coaches. We know this stuff. Already know it all. And it's growing. We're building this amazing business. And something happened. So we went, we launched some new programs, went down, a certain path. I ended up hiring a new coach to coach us, which was absolutely fantastic. This gentleman was the exact right person at the right time for us. And one thing that he had asked us to do was build a cash flow forecast. We're like, oh, we don't have that today. So I had to clean up some of the books, all that kind of stuff. And we built out I think it was about an 8 to 12 week by week cash flow forecast to see where things were going. And that's when we got hit with the hardest reality we've ever seen in the business. And that was the realization that if we don't make any major changes today, we were going to be out of business in less than 4 weeks. Our cash burn was so high compared to what was happening in the business, and we could not see it, which was the biggest challenge, biggest constraint with it, that if we did not make drastic changes, we were not going to even be able to be in business any longer. What this forced us to do was take several steps back. And I remember that day very clearly. It had everything up on a big whiteboard. And that whiteboard had, first and foremost, like us as owners, had no longer getting paid. Like payroll is out for us. Done. First box. Second was looking through every line item on the P&L and determining what can be justified. What is the most important things that we need to keep in order to be running the business? Anything else that we can't justify for that reason, it's gone. At least temporarily. We can always add it back, but for now, gone. And then we went into the hardest one, which relates to what we're going to talk about today. And that is every team member we had to put up on a board. And we had to make very difficult decisions on who got to stay a part of the team and who we had to let go. Unfortunately, at the time for us, we had to go through the process of letting just about everybody go. And the reason for that is there just simply was no money left to be able to compensate them any further. And that was a hard moment. But it opened the door. It shed some light on some things that were really important. First, we started to build something that we weren't ready to build. We had not put in the systems. We had not put in the processes of the roles that we had hired. We did not know what we were doing. We didn't know how to manage. We didn't know how to lead. These are all things that we take internally and go, wow, we really should have learned that lesson earlier. But like many, we hadn't gone through that experience, and this just shed the light on all of the cracks within our system. And it forced us to take this journey back to the foundation, rebuild the business, rebuild from the bottom of the 6 steps that I'm going to share with you here in a moment, and build the foundation that allows us to have an incredible team. So take this, forward into the future. And I showed you a few slides ago. We've got a much larger team today, much larger group of individuals we get the ability to work with. And we have better results, better culture, better everything in the business as a result of this hard lesson we had to go through. My encouragement for you today watching this is that you don't have to go through that lesson. You get the opportunity to learn these from others who have gone before you. So let us be that for you here today. But all this came down to growth by building a plan from actual results, from proper assessment of opportunities, and by and large, learning, management, and leadership. So what does it take to build a business? What's it take to get massive results? It starts down here with the bottom of the pyramid, the foundation of a business, which is mastery. And mastery is all about eliminating chaos within a business. So this is understanding where is the business going. We call this destination. This is understanding how do we manage the resources within the business, which by and large is time, your time and your team's time, and money. How do we manage the financial capital within the business? Can we see the data, the numbers that is the scorecard for the business? And then, of course, at this level, it is incredibly important to master what we call delivery, the fulfillment, the consistency of the fulfillment of your product or service. This is all about getting control in the business, eliminating that chaos, which creates stability and allows us to move into niche, which is the marketing and sales part of the business, the engine that creates predictable cash flow. As we create this cash flow, now we can spend the time focused on leverage or systems. These systems may start in mastery, they may continue in niche, but the real focus comes once we have the foundation built and we get to build the system on top of the things that have proven to work for the business that allows us to get to where we want to go. This is creating efficiency. Efficiency creates time. Systems create time, right? Gives us the ability to continue to focus on different areas of the business. And this is the moment where we systemize the rest of the business and allow the team to run the systems. This is the moment when we can build that structure for growth. We can build the recruiting and the retention engine. We can look at how do we build the winning culture? How do we build all of these things? And this is where we're going to spend the vast majority of our time talking through today. Because if you're watching this, if you're resonating with this, you likely have some team members on your team today. And this is an area of where you are at in business. As you build your team, eventually you may put in place a general manager, a CEO, a managing director, somebody that's going to run that business for you, right? This allows us to move up to step 5, which is synergy or scale. This is duplication. This is the point when the business runs as a well-oiled machine. This is the point where you would franchise, you would license, you would go to multiple locations. Not that you have to, but once the business is at this point, this is the point in which replication, duplication become the possibility. And the final step is results. This is the freedom stage, right? This is where passive income is coming off the business. You're not required in the business as the owner on a day-to-day basis any longer. Now, you may choose to still have a role in the company, and that's totally fine. But the business does not require your involvement. And this is the formula. This is the structure, the way to build a business. And going back to the story I shared with you about our business, we thought we were working on team and getting ready for synergy. And the reality is our foundation, the mastery, the niche or marketing and sales, even some of the systems and leverage, there were so many cracks in that foundation that we just didn't show the light on, that when we pushed too hard, too far at the top end of the pyramid, everything started to crumble underneath. And that was a very humbling lesson. So build your foundation and move your way up so that we can build an amazing team that wants to stay with you long term. So we're going to talk team. And team, this is one of my favorite acronyms for it. Together, everyone achieves more. It's almost insanely difficult to do everything on your own. Teams is where things come together. So together, everyone achieves more. So let's talk about this for a moment. Ernest Shackleton, Antarctic exploration. Back in the long time ago. I'm trying to remember the exact dates here. Early 1800s, perhaps. And he put out an ad. This is the thing that's most interesting of this story. So he put out an ad, and that ad said, men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return, doubtful, honor and recognition in event of success. Whoo! How does that make you feel? If you're someone reading that, what does that do? Right? If I'm reading that, I might go, that doesn't sound that great to me. Which means this ad is doing exactly what it's meant to do. Because the person that reads this and goes, I'm in. That sounds like so much fun. Like, let's go on this mission. I want to be a part of this thing. Those are the ones that Mr. Shackleton needed on his team. Because what happened in this story is that they went on this journey and the ship got caught in ice. It got stuck for months and months and months. And they ran out of food. They ran out of all of these supplies. And the team, the group that was pulled together, had to pull together. They had to find a way to survive these incredibly harsh conditions with really no guarantee that they're going to make it home now. And I want to say it was almost or about a year later, everyone ended up returning home. Everyone survived. Now, if you had a different type of individual that was not prepared based on how this ad is written. If they were not the right person in the right seat, that outcome would have looked very different. So I want you to relate this back to your own business. And I want you to think about who needs to be on the team and how do we position that. And one of the best things that you can do is you can ask this question. If you are a team member and you're looking at this today, I want you to answer this question for you. If you're the owner of a business, I'd love for you to think about how you can play this out with your team. Ask them, if this were your business, if you were CEO, if you were owner, how would you show up differently? Not necessarily what would you do differently. How would you show up differently? And allow them to really think that through. Because when you have ownership, you feel very different. If it's my business, I'm going to show up very differently than if it's just a job that I work for and somebody else, and I have no idea where all this stuff is going, right? When you give the option of a sense of ownership, people show up differently. So going back to Mr. Shackleton's experience, by creating an environment, by creating an ad that brought the right people onto the team that were bought into the mission that they were serving to achieve, he created a level of ownership. He created this environment of people that wanted to see success of the mission. This is what this process is all about. Sharing that destination, helping your team show up differently if they are given the opportunity. So I need to choose any sport in the world. Who's the best in the world? So think of somebody. I'm a past collegiate swimmer. So the person that comes in mind for me is Michael Phelps. And I want you to think about someone like Mr. Phelps. And I want you to ask the question, why do you think they are the best? Traditionally, we get answers because they work hard, because they dedicate. It's singular focus. Everything was focused on what they did, what they were trying to accomplish. Then I want you to think about, without training, where would they be? Without any level of training, where would they be? The likely answer is not nearly as far. So I want you to grade their commitment to training out of 10. So I take Mr. Phelps, Mr. Michael Phelps as an example here. And if you were to grade his commitment to his training out of a 10, thinking back to the Beijing Olympics where he won 8 gold medals, grading the commitment to training those 8+ years of his life leading up into that moment, you could almost argue that he somehow broke beyond a 10, right? He put everything into that process. So now I want you to grade yours. What's your commitment to training, to learning, to growing? For someone who is ambitious, what kind of training do they expect? So this really has 2 components to it. The first piece is, where are you on the spectrum? The second piece is, what about your team? If your team is truly ambitious, what kind of training do you think they expect? How do you invest back into their growth? And who do these types of individuals tend to surround themselves with? If you've got a team of D players and C players, your A players are not going to want to stay around. Your goal is to continue to cultivate and build for the next phase of growth. Ownership begins when you have the courage to let others step up. This is so much more about we as owners stepping out than it is bringing in the best of the best. We have to let go first. We have to have the courage to let others in and allow them to step up, to have the courage to step up. Because the best of the best had the strength and the courage to publicly say, I can't do it alone. And this is one of the most important pieces. I have a mentor of mine, and he's shared this publicly many a different times. But as he was building one of his largest companies that went on to do roughly $500 million a year, As he was moving up the ladder of growing the business and building out the team, he had to create this culture. And it was a culture that leads to this idea: I can't do it alone, right? So he had this saying, I'd rather be rich than right. And what that ultimately meant is, tell me my baby's ugly. Tell me the business is not working properly. I'm not always right, and I'm not here to be right. Ego has no room in this space. Tell me that I'm wrong. Tell me that there's a better way to do it. I want to give you, Mr. or Mrs. team member, the ability. Don't just take what I have to say about it, right? I can't do it alone. And that mentality created an opportunity where people started to solve problems. And it was amazing to see that growth and what the end result was. So the best of the best had the courage and the strength to publicly say, I cannot do it alone. So here's an idea for you to think about. Again, pause the video, write this down, answer the questions to it. Why do you think some of the leaders hold on to everything and try to do it on their own? Why do they do that? So take a minute and write that down. One of the top answers that traditionally comes out is people stay where they are because of fear. And fear is nothing more than false expectations appearing real. So the question is, how do we overcome fear? I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it was a re-listen to. I think it's a bit of an older podcast now, but had Jocko Willink on it. And the question was posed to him, how do you overcome fear? And his answer was, just go. Don't think, just go. Because it's nothing more than false expectations appearing real. Nothing is ever as bad as what you can envision and imagine in your head. So think about it this way. For your team, for you, what do you fear most? Then just go do it. Right? What do I fear most? Then go do it. Take action. So let's bring this to some additional nuts and bolts of how do we build a winning team. And today I'm going to share with you the keys to building a winning team. A winning team starts with strong leadership. So what is strong leadership? We need to really think that one through. Write the answers to this down, right? But strong leadership comes from passion and responsibility. Passion and responsibility. If we're not able to truly care about the people in our charge, truly care about the mission that we're after, if we don't exude that passion and have a responsibility to serve those in our care, leadership's not going to exist. One of my favorite ways to think about this from a responsibility standpoint. So I take it even down into the process of sales. If you have somebody in front of you that's just articulated the needs that they have, the challenges, the friction points, the frustration, where they want to go, all of these types of things, and you have the solution that you know is the best path for them based on everything that you've gathered and learned from them, you have a responsibility to work with them to solve their problems, right? It's not about making a sale. It's not about making more money or anything else like that. It's about the responsibility to serve in the way that you've chosen to serve. You're in business for a reason. You're in this particular business, in this particular profession, because there is some level of passion that you have, a sense of responsibility to solve the thing that you've chosen to solve. So as you build your team, that strong leadership comes from this frame. This is the thing that you get to share with your team. And when you do this, you gain some permission, some ability to help your team grow. And in order to grow, we need this thing called perturbation. So you haven't heard of the term perturbation. I'll quickly explain what this is, but essentially it's pressure, right? Pressure applied. And when pressure is applied, something happens. And pressure applied, something happens. Traditionally, there's some level of emotion that comes along with it, but it's all about creating change. So the example here is you start to think about what this looks like. If you want to kind of put a visualization to this, think about a pot of water, and you put it on the stove and you turn on the heat. The heat is acting as pressure. It is a force being applied to the water, right? So what happens? After time, increase the pressure, increase the pressure, increase the pressure. In this case is increase heat. And eventually something's going to happen. Now, your first thought is like, well, yeah, the water is going to boil. But there's something else happens before it boils. It simmers, right? There's this moment, this piece where it's kind of starting to change state, and you start seeing some steam coming off of it, but it hasn't quite bubbled to the surface where it's actually boiling yet. That moment is perturbation. That moment is that feeling of like, I am in so much discomfort right now, and I have a choice. I have emotion coming off, and I can either choose to ride the wave of this, break with this energy, break with this pressure, and come out the other side in a completely different state. And as a new me, as a new version of growth. But it's also just as easy in that moment to turn off the heat. Say, nope, I'm done. Breakdown. Nope, can't take this anymore. And nothing changes. And you can see this with your team. You can see this in your own personal growth. So the goal, the understanding is knowing that humans need pressure in order to grow. But it's up to us to bring them to that point that's going to allow them to break with the momentum versus pushing them to a breakdown. So as your coach, as your leader within business, we tend to help you build your team by thinking about it from this very simple context. You've got the owner. The owner is meant to manage and take care of the team. The team takes care of the customers then take care of the business, and the business then therefore can take care of the owner. Oftentimes at the very beginning, it's the owner taking care of the team, the owner taking care of the customers, the owner taking care of the business, and then we wonder why we're always out of time. As you work up your way in the 6 steps, as we take you through this progression, we start to build your team so the team can take care of the customers in a way that is so much better than you could do on your own. And when the customers are taken care of, they're going to take care of the business, and that business can take care of you. So let's move on to number 2, your common goal. And this leads directly into that passion, the responsibility piece, the understanding where is it that we are headed as an organization, and why does it matter that you're a part of the team? Because our goal as leaders is to enroll and inspire, to bring people onto the journey. It's not just about, I want to build a business because I make so much money. No, your team doesn't care about that. What is the mission that you're out there to serve? How do you enroll these individuals into that mission? You think of large companies that have had a massive impact over the last decade, SpaceX, Tesla, right? You think of some of these companies that Elon has created, and these companies have a mission, right? It wasn't about creating rockets. It wasn't about creating just electric cars. It was completely changing the landscape of what's possible. It's pushing the world to understand that electric cars is possible, not to be necessarily the number one electric car company in the world, but to promote the change that we are now seeing and feeling permeate through all other automotive manufacturer. And this shift towards understanding that there's a different way to do things that's better for humanity. Space travel, SpaceX. My goodness, could there be a greater mission than like becoming an interplanetary species, going to Mars, doing something that's never been done in the history of humanity? Whew, talk about a mission to be a part of. Enroll and inspire. Set the vision and bring people into it. This brings us to number 3, rules in the game. Now we start to get a little bit more tactical. Rules in the game. As you raise the standards in the business, some people won't come with you. And I think this is an important piece to recognize. As your business grows, as you double headcount, triple, quadruple over time, those that were with you when you were 5 people, it's going to look very different when you're 15 to 20 people. Some of those people are going to come with you. Some of them are not. And it's because the standards in your business are going to look very different at 15 to 20 people than they did at 5. And vice versa. It's going to look very different at 20 people than it will at 100. Your standards naturally will raise. They will have to raise as you continue to grow into a different style and a different way of doing business. Recognizing that raising those standards, the goal is to bring the team with you. But that doesn't always mean that they're going to be able to take that leap. They just won't come with you in some cases. And that's okay. Your goal is to help them move either up into the right seats on the bus or help find them an even better seat on somebody else's bus. Raise the standards and continue to grow the business. Number 4, building the action plan. Who does what, by when, with standards, right? If we don't know what success looks like, when success is supposed to happen, who's responsible for it, it becomes very difficult to get out of the chaos stage within business. Having the standards, when you bring people onto the team, I have always found in any business that we've worked with, within our business, with our clients' businesses, with other clients of coaches around the country, success, people, human beings tend to be happier, more fulfilled in their job roles when they know what success looks like and they've got a path to achieve it. Building an action plan on who does what, by when, with these standards, and give them the roadmap and help them achieve those goals and what success is actually defined to look like leads to a lot of satisfaction or fulfillment within a role. Even if it's temporary and it's a smaller role that people will eventually grow out of, having the unambiguous nature of things, if people don't know what it is that they're supposed to be achieving or what that's supposed to look like, that's where things get hard. So as you build your business, you build into team building. Who does what by when with standards is a key component of that. And that leads into positional contracts or agreements, your system manuals, your plan, and so on. All of these things culminate together to give you the ability to build the action plan for your team. This is built on systems within your business, which is why team comes after systems. Number 5, support risk taking. Kaizen. That is the Japanese term for change is good. What's really important to kind of recognize about this is it's constant and never-ending improvement. We want our team to feel empowered and allowed to make mistakes. I heard someone say the other day, and I really, really enjoyed this, no new mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, just only new mistakes. Only new mistakes. If we're making the same mistake over and over and over again, meaning that it's an old mistake that we continue to make, that's a problem. But if we're making new mistakes, that means that we're learning and we're iterating. We made a mistake, we learned that it didn't work, we changed it, and we're trying something new. And we might get another mistake off that, but it's going to be a different mistake because we tried something different. This iterative loop, 1, speed to success. 2, improves process. 3, it gives your team the ability to go do real work instead of just hoping for the best. One of the greatest killers that we see in business all the time is, well, why do we do it this way? Because we've always done it that way, right? And there's some base level of standards, sure. But if we can find a different way, a better way to do something, allow the team to find those things. Almost always the best new innovations in business don't come from the top. They come from people in the business, but only if they feel supported in taking risks. So grow, plateau, grow, plateau, grow, plateau, never-ending improvement. Last 2, number 6, 100% involvement and inclusion. Look, guys, your team wants to be included. They want to be involved. The more you can get them engaged in different aspects of the business, the better. Cross-departmental. Open up that communication. Give them the understanding of how things connect throughout the business. Show someone how what they do impacts everybody else in the business. Like this involvement, this inclusion in the in towards this common goal, again, going back to number 2 on this list, everyone coming together and being included and being involved in that process of achieving the mission that you've set out. That is what number 6 is all about. And number 7 is all about continuous learning. If we're not growing, we're dying. Your team must always be learning. It's probably if you think of all the primary departments within a business, you got marketing, you got sales, you got operations, you got finance, you got HR, you got IT. If there's another box that I would add to that list, it would be the learning department, the teaching department. Like, where is the continuous learning focus for the business? Because if you look at a pyramid, the learning culture, the creation of a culture around people who want to continue to learn and better themselves is the foundation, right? This is not the end result. This is the foundation. When you create the culture of learning, create the culture of growth and self-improvement, it's going to lead to a culture of winning. And a culture of winning leads to a team that is winning. And when a team is winning, it creates the results. But it's all based on the foundation of a learning culture. So this was a lot of information in 45 minutes worth of time. So I'm going to encourage you to take a step back. I want you to take everything that you've just taken notes on, and I want you to create a short to-do list. What are the things that you need to accomplish? What are the things that you need to do today in order to start building your team? And when you're ready, it's time to get into action and give us a call. Scan this QR code. The link will also be in the description below. But if you're in business, if you've got a team and you want to know how to effectively build the roadmap, build the team success plan using the 7 keys to a winning team, this is for you. We've got 2 weeks, 4 meetings that our team will take you through for free. From understanding your business and going through a bit of discovery, from coming out and seeing your business firsthand, going through a bit of a strategy kind of meetup, and then building your game plan diagnostic. This is completely for free. I want you to take advantage of that. If you are someone in business, you want to take what you've just learned here today to the next level, then this is for you. And with that, I'll wrap up. I'll conclude. Again, my name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the CEO of ActionCOACH Benefic Group, and I hope that your business success is as amazing as I know it can be. Wishing you well.